course I've heard about the FIRE movement, and I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. And let me tell you why. Shemai guys, I'm Dav Morse. I'm here to educate and inspire you to make the most of your money, to live generously and to impact the world beyond just yourself. If you want to know why I hate the FIRE movement, then grab a cup of tea and let's get started. Big shout out to The Rock for the t-shirt. He didn't give it to me. I bought it. Actually, it was a present. So let's just take a moment to bring everyone up to speed so we're at the same place to start. Now, if you're part of the FIRE movement, then you probably will have recognised the rant at the beginning of the video, and if you're not in the FIRE movement, you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, let's just start before I get into what I think is good about the FIRE movement, why I hate the FIRE movement, and what should you do instead. Let's just take a moment to catch everybody up so that we all know what we're talking about. What is FIRE? So what is the FIRE movement? Well, it stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. Now, essentially, it's a movement of people who are focused solely on the goal of making enough money so that they can retire from work and they don't have to do anything after that. Now, how they do this is they work on what's called the 4% rule, which basically means if you save up 25 times your annual spending and you can withdraw 4% of that and live on that, and essentially you never run out of money. So if you have an annual budget of £25,000, then you need to save up 25 times £25,000, which is £625,000. If you save up £625,000, then you invest it wisely. Basically, you can live off that for £25,000 a year. If you want to live on £30,000 a year, then you're going to need £750,000. If you want £40,000 budget for the year, then you're going to have to save up £1 million in investments. If you want a £50,000 a year budget, then you're going to have to save up £1.25 million. It's a lot of money. So the theory goes, once you hit that FIRE number, then you can retire from work, you don't have to work again, and you can just live your life sitting on the beach, relaxing, doing whatever you want. So let's start with what I like about the FIRE movement before we get to what I hate about the FIRE movement. First things first, people in the FIRE movement love free stuff, like smashing the like button for the YouTube algorithm. No kidding. Okay, first things first. People in the FIRE movement love talking about their finances, they love sharing about their finances, they love encouraging other people to think about their finances. People have to assess their current situation and they have to make a plan to make things better. They make a plan for moving forward in their financial world. And I think those are all great things. Second thing I like about the FIRE movement is having a goal and a plan is a good thing. It makes you conscious about what you're spending your money on, what you really value. Are your values aligned with what you're spending your money on? Because what you spend your money on is where your values lie. And if you look at your bank account, you can see, well, I value this and this and this. Having a plan to change those priorities, having a plan to get out of debt, having a plan to take action with your finances is something that we should all be doing. Delayed gratification, living below your means, those are both key components of the FIRE movement, and they are both the biggest determiners of whether or not you're going to be successful financially. And again, something that we should be doing. All these things are great things, and I would encourage everybody to be doing these things, but they're not the answer. Okay, so the moment you've been waiting for, the reasons why I hate the FIRE movement. The number one biggest thing I hate about the FIRE movement is that it promises things it cannot deliver. The seductive allure of FI promises you that you'll be happy once you reach this magical number. But the truth couldn't be farther from that. Actually, you still end up wanting more and more and more. There's nothing magical about £1 million. I've already made that video. There's nothing special about £1 million. Nothing special about $1 million. As John Candy famously said in Cool Runnings,
a gold medal is a wonderful thing. But if you're not enough without it, you'll never be enough with it.
And it's the same with FI. If you're basing your happiness on reaching this magical number, then reaching that magical number won't be enough to satisfy you. And that's why I hate it. Another thing that it promises is that you'll be free from having to worry about money. And again, that couldn't be further from the truth. This allure of, yes, once you've reached this certain amount of money, you'll be free from worrying about money. I know of millionaires who have got millions of pounds, millions of dollars in the bank, and they are still worried about not having enough. Me, I've just got $1 million. Even if you don't worry about money because £1 million is enough for you, then you'll still be worried about other things. Financial independence promises that you'll be free from worry, but it doesn't promise you, it doesn't deliver on that being free from actual worry about other things. If you haven't developed a mindset of not worrying, if you haven't trained yourself not to worry and to just trust, then you will not be satisfied. And there's still going to be plenty to worry about after you reach FI, even if it's not money. The other thing that FIRE promises is satisfaction, but the truth is it means nothing if you gain the entire world but give up your soul. The next thing I hate about the FIRE movement is that it postpones living your life until some point in the future. Some magical point where you can give up work so that you don't have to keep going to the 9 to 5. I'm all for deferred gratification, planning for the future. I've already said that. It's one of the most distinguishing factors in whether you're going to be successful financially, but not at the expense of living your life now. So instead of building towards some future magical point where you're going to give up work so you don't have to worry about money, instead of doing that, why don't we start planning a life, building a life that we don't want to retire from? That's what I'm doing. I retired from teaching aged 36 and now I am building life on my own terms. I am building a life that I want to live, that I'm excited about living and that I don't want to retire from.
Make YouTube videos.
I want to continue to share my experiences, share my wisdom and my knowledge with people so that they can take action as well. I've made a video about 7 lessons that I learned from quitting my job and I'll put a link to it at the end and in the description box below. Next thing I don't like about the FIRE movement is that it takes a long time. Even if you saved 66% of your income, so if you're on a £30,000 a year income, even if you saved £20,000 a year, then it would still take you 10 years to get to financial independence. I'm all for planning for the future. I'm all for having a low temporal preference, which means that you can defer your gratification to the future, but not if it stops me living now and not if it stops me being generous now and impacting lives now. Another thing that the FIRE movement are big fans of are pensions. Pensions are one of the key things for the FIRE movement. You put all your money away so that one day when you retire you'll have enough to live on. I'm all for contributing for a pension, but I do want people to consider the opportunity cost of having that money locked away. If you've got 10 or 20 or 30,000 pounds locked away in a pension which you can't access until you're 65 or 7 or 8 or 72, whenever it might be, then that means there are things that you cannot do now. It means that if there's a good rental property opportunity that comes up, you can't take that because your money is tied up. If you want to start your own business, you can't do that because your money is tied up. If you want to make a life change, like quitting your job,
Make YouTube videos.
having that money locked up where you can't access it kind of reduces your chances or your confidence to be able to do that. And finally, you need something to get up from. It's all very well and good to think, yes, I'll retire, I won't have to go to work. But actually, work is a really valuable thing. It gives us a sense of self-worth, it gives us a sense of identity, it gives us something worth getting out of bed for. And I see and I hear of people who retire and then very soon afterwards just die because they've got nothing to live for, they've got nothing to get up for anymore. So don't think that retiring and going to do nothing is going to solve your problems. Don't think that retiring and doing nothing is going to be the thing that gets you through in the end. In fact, it'll probably slow you down. So what should you do now? Well, first things first, you should gently press the like button. If you haven't started doing it already, start thinking about what kind of life you would lead if you could never retire. If you had to keep working until you're 70, 80, 90, what would you do? And those kind of self-reflective questions are often really hard and actually sometimes even harder to answer when you're in the midst of a 9-to-5 job. Now, when I did quit teaching, I had that year's worth of financial cushion so that if I didn't earn anything, that I'd still be okay. And that gave me the freedom to think, right, well, what is it that I want to do with my life? Make YouTube videos. What would your ideal life look like if you could never stop working and build towards that? If you want to start picking up a new hobby, then don't wait until you're financially independent and you're retired to do that. Try and figure out how you can get a little bit of that into your life now. If you want to play golf every day when you're retired, how about playing golf once a month now? I don't know why I picked golf. That was silly. If you want to learn to sail, don't just decide I'm just going to put it off for the next 20 years so that I'm retired and I can go and learn to sail. I can just do that one thing. Start taking lessons, looking into it now. Go on a sailing holiday, go on a flotilla holiday where you can just start learning the basics now so that when you are ready to retire and you've listened to all the lessons that I've taught you on this channel and you've increased your income, you've decreased your spending, you've given generously and you're still being blessed financially, then you can use that time and that money to go and then just pursue it as much as you want. But don't put it off until later. Don't wait until you're financially independent before you start giving to charity, giving to causes, helping people in need. Start doing that now. And don't forget to subscribe. Let me know if there's anything you agree with or disagree with in this video in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Till next time, peace out. Oh, and don't forget to watch the video on 7 lessons I learned from quitting my job. Thanks.